Hello everyone, this is Pulse Padai and now we are going to start a lecture series for the subject pathology where I am going to cover general pathology, systemic pathology, each and every important topic that you will see in the university exam. I'll tell you about how to write the answers in the university exam and along with that how to answer the things in the viva as well as what are the topics that you should more focus on because it will be asked in your NEET PG as well. Before jumping into the topic, I have to say something that the Pulse Padai has now been collaborated with the MBBS Freaks, which already has a 20,000 followers in the Telegram. So do check out their page for the other video lectures for other topic and for the notes as well. So let's start for the today's topic, which is cell adaptation. Now in this lecture I am going to cover like what is a cell adaptation and its types, because its types are usually asked in your as a 5 marks question in your university exams as well as in the viva. Among all these, the important thing that you have to remember is the examples for every types of the cell adaptation, and in the university also a 5 marks can be asked for the metaplasia alone as well, or you can write a note on cell adaptation as well. So let's start it. What is a cell adaptation? The adaptations the cell made in response to any stress. It can be a normal stress, it can be an abnormal stress. So is called as a cell adaptation. So whatever the cell makes the changes in itself to adapt the stress or the stressful environment is called as a cell adaptation. The change that the cell made, it can be a physiological change, it can be a pathological change. So what are its types? So basically 4 types of the cell adaptation we usually encounter. First is the hypertrophy, second is the atrophy, third is the hyperplasia, and fourth is the metaplasia. Now see, this is my normal cuboidal cell. It has never gone into any stressful condition. Now I am giving stress to this cuboidal cell. Now when I give this to cuboidal cells, the size of this cuboidal cell increases. Mind it, the shape of the cuboidal cell is the same, the number of the cuboidal cell is the same. So if there is any increase in the size of the cuboidal cell without changing its shape, without changing its type, then it is called as a hypertrophy. Now how to remember hypertrophy? See, the cell has become tall, T comes here and T also comes in hypertrophy. So it is, you can remember like this, okay, like a mnemonic you can see. So if the cell becomes tall, T also comes in hypertrophy, then definitely the answer is hypertrophy. Now I am giving my cuboidal cell more stress and this before, and rather going to increase in the size of the cell decreases. Now the size becomes small. So this is called as atrophy. Now I am giving stress again to my cuboidal cell. When I am giving stress again to my cuboidal cells, there is no change in the number of the cells, but the type of the cell is changed. My cuboidal cell has become a columnar cell. Now this is called as a metaplasia. And now the fourth type, I am giving stress again, but changing in the number of cells, changing in the size or changing in the type of the cells, there is increase in the number of cells. The number of the cells increases. This is called as hyperplasia. I hope so you're clear that if there is increase in the size of the cell without changing its type, without changing its shape, is called as a hypertrophy. If there is decrease in the size of the cell, then it is called as atrophy. If there is change in the type of the epithelium, it is called as metaplasia. If there is increase in the number of cells, then it is called as hyperplasia. Now let's see each and every topic in detail. First is the hypertrophy. Now, if there is increase in the size of any parenchymal cell along with the increase in the size of the tissue. So hypertrophy says that there is increase in the size of parenchymal cell that ultimately leads to the increase in the organ or the tissue, but there is no change in the cells. What changes I am talking about? The shape, the type. Then it is called as a hypertrophy. Usually hypertrophy occurs in the non-dividing cells. Now what are the non-dividing cells that is present in the body? Yeah, it is the skeletal muscle cell. The skeletal muscle cell is a non-dividing cell, and if hypertrophy alone occurs in the body, then it is usually occurring in the skeletal muscle cells. Usually, the hypertrophy and hyperplasia in the organs, in the cells, comes along with them. But if hypertrophy occurs alone in a type of muscle, then it is probably hypertrophy. Now what is the underlying mechanism behind it? The underlying mechanism, it is that it usually occurs due to the synthesis of a cellular proteins. If there is increase in the production of cellular proteins in the cells, then it leads to hypertrophy. What are the proteins? The protein is GATA4, NFAT and MEF2. You have to memorize this, that if you write this in the exam, it will create a good image in front of the examiner that probably know more in this topic, because usually not everyone write these types this cellular protein in the answer. So if you write that there is an increased production of the cellular protein which is GATA4, NFAT and MEF2, it will create a good image of your in front of the examiner. Now talking about the types: physiological hypertrophy and pathological hypertrophy. Physiological hypertrophy is usually seen during the lactation in the breast, skeletal muscle in the bodybuilders. You can see in the image that due to the hypertrophy of the skeletal muscle cells, there is an increase in the size of the man. Now uterus in the pregnancy. Now you all know that the uterus during the pregnancy is increased. Now this increase is not only because of the hypertrophy but also because of the hyperplasia, because I have mentioned earlier that in other organs except the skeletal muscle, the hypertrophy comes along with hyperplasia. Now the pathological hypertrophy is seen in the cardiac muscles. It is seen in the left ventricular hypertrophy. Left ventricular hypertrophy is usually a complication of hypertension, we all know. Now in the second, in the smooth muscle cells, the smooth muscles is cardia, achalasia and pyloric stenosis. You have to just memorize these examples. If you memorize like 1 to 2 times, you will remember it. Now this was all about hypertrophy. Next is the hyperplasia. Now what does hyperplasia says? If there is increase in the number of parenchymal cells resulting in the enlargement of the cells or tissue, it is the hyperplasia. And hyperplasia is an active process, so usually it occurs in the dividing cells, whereas hypertrophy occurs in the non-dividing cells. Now the most important line to mention in the paper, it is this. I'll just mark here, this one. I have marked in the red as well in the notes, that the hyperplastic proliferation, it is a fertile soil where the cancer develop. You have to write this line in the answer anyhow, by hook or crook. You have to write this answer, that hyperplastic proliferation becomes a fertile soil for the cancer to develop. So yeah, why it happens? Because usually in the cancer, we all know there is abnormal high production of the cells, and for the abnormal high production of the cells, the basis the cancer cell form is the hyperplasia. So if the hyperplasia is abnormally more in any human body, then there is increased chance for the cancer to develop, because for the cancer they see the hyperplasia as a very fertile soil. Okay, I'm talking about the mechanism. Usually how this proliferation of the cells occur, because of the abnormal growth factors. If there is increased abnormal growth factors that usually act on the cells, it causes the proliferation of the cell. Now what are the cells that we see? We see labile cells, we see stable cells, we see permanent cells. These are the 3 types of cells we usually see in the body. Now in the labile cells, it includes epithelium of the skin and mucous membrane cells. In the stable cells, parenchyma of liver, pancreas and kidney. Whereas permanent cells usually don't go hyperplasia. I said it before, I'll say it again. Usually they go hypertrophy. They don't go hyperplasia. So only the stable and the labile cells undergo hyperplasia, and if the hyperplastic proliferation is more, the chances of cancer to develop is more. Now we will see the types. We see the physiological hyperplasia, we see the pathological hyperplasia. In physiological hyperplasia, it can be hormonal, it can be compensatory. Now the hormonal one, it is the breast during the pregnancy, breast during lactation, breast during puberty. The changes in the breast that we see during these 3 stages is basically due to the more production of the hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and this causes the hyperplasia of the breast cells, and the size of the breast is increased. Whereas in the compensatory mechanism, usually after the hepectomy, the liver has the power of regeneration. So the cells of the liver will undergo hyperplasia and it will regenerate the liver. Likewise in the kidney, the nephron also undergo hyperplasia after the nephrotomy. Then comes your pathological hyperplasia. Now the pathological hyperplasia is usually seen, there is increased estrogen production. Now when there is increased estrogen production, there will be chances of occurrence of endometrial hyperplasia. If there is increased androgen production, then there is a chances of occurring of BPH, which is the benign prostatic hyperplasia. We all are aware of these type of hyperplasia during our postings as well. So the main underlying mechanism of these to enlarge is due to the increased production of the cells in them due to the abnormal stimulus or the abnormal stress. That can be hormones. Here the stress or the hormone is estrogen, here the stress or the hormone is androgen, and the congenital adrenal hyperplasia. So you have to just memorize these examples so that your answer while writing in the exams will look good for the examiner. Now the third, it is the atrophy. What does atrophy means? I said it earlier. It is decrease in the size of parenchymal cells. It is decrease in the number of parenchymal cells. So ultimately what happens? There is decrease in the organ size. What is the underlying mechanism? The underlying mechanism is that there is decreased synthesis of the protein in the body, along with there is increased protein degradation. Now in the cell, your protein is not made and there is more protein lost. So ultimately the good cell will shrink, and this shrinkage of the cell will cause the atrophy, and ultimately the organ size will decrease. This is the main funda. Now what is the examples? The physiological and pathological. Again, the physiological is usually seen atrophy of the thymus in the adults, because the thymus is the organ that is more prominent during the childhood for the protection against the diseases, and as we become adult, there is atrophy of the thymus, there is atrophy of the brain along with the aging, there is involution of the uterus after the parturition. We have seen also that the uterus after giving the delivery becomes small, and usually the involution process usually takes 6 weeks after the delivery. So the size of the uterus will decrease day by day, and until 6 weeks it will again come to its normal size. An atrophy is also seen in cancer, cachexia in pathological conditions. The healthy muscles will get atrophied, and the person will be emaciated because of atrophy. You can also see poliomyelitis. In the poliomyelitis, there will be atrophy of the limbs, atrophy of the lower limbs because of the poliovirus. Also erosion of the skull in meningioma. I am going to say you have to memorize these examples. Now next is metaplasia. In the metaplasia, the most important one, here the viva comes, here your 5 marks alone comes. Examiner will ask so much question in the metaplasia because the metaplasia is so important. So let's see what happens in metaplasia. In the metaplasia, there is a reversible change of one type of epithelium or the mesenchymal to another type of epithelium or the mesenchymal cells. As I said in the earlier slide also, my cuboidal cell was changed into a columnar cell. And why this happened? This happened because of metaplastic change. But the good part is this change is a reversible change. So whenever there is a reversible change, we see where there is a change of one type of epithelium or the mesenchymal cell to another type, it is called as a metaplasia. It usually occurs in response to the abnormal stimulus, as we all know, and removal of the abnormal stimulus will revert the cell into a normal. Since it is a reversible change, so the cell will go back to its normal type. Now one more thing that you have to mention in the paper, which is very very important, that is this line. Now what this line says, if the stimulus persists longer, if your abnormal stimulus is acting for the cell for a long period of the time, the metaplasia will progress into dysplasia. Now what is dysplasia? I will tell you about what is dysplasia in the coming slide, and this dysplasia will lead to cancer. So metaplasia, hyperplasia, metaplasia, it is a very very fertile soil for the cancer to grow. So if the cell has went to the stage of hyperplasia and metaplasia, it is very important the cells should become come to the normal part, because it will damage the cell and the chances of cancer will increase. Now, metaplasia is usually of two types. First is the epithelial metaplasia and second is the mesenchymal metaplasia. Now we will see the epithelial metaplasia. What is a epithelial metaplasia? It is usually change in the epithelium of any specialized epithelium into a less specialized squamous or epithelium. Okay, so if there is a more, it is a more specialized, any type of more specialized epithelium. It can be squamous epithelium or columnar epithelium. It is converting into a less specialized epithelium. Then it is the epithelial metaplasia. Okay. So what it says that epithelial metaplasia is most common type, and it is usually a patchy or diffuse type of metaplasia, usually occurs due to the replacement of a stronger epithelium which is less specialized. Okay, so the less specialized epithelium will be more prone to the infection due to the mucus deprivation. That's why it is a fertile soil for the cancer to grow. Now this epithelial metaplasia can be of squamous metaplasia or the columnar metaplasia. What is a squamous metaplasia? As I said it earlier, any specialized epithelium is converted into a squamous metaplastic change. It is called as a squamous metaplasia. Now the examples are very important. The examiner will ask you mainly the types or the examples from the squamous metaplasia. So listen carefully. Now what you see in the chronic smoker, pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium of the bronchus is converted into a stratified squamous epithelium. That's why if we remove the smoking from this chronic smoker, there is a chances that this will revert back into a normal epithelium because it has undergone squamous metaplasia. Okay. Next is the prostate. In the chronic prostatitis, the simple columnar epithelium is converted into stratified squamous epithelium. Again, in the chronic cholecystitis, simple columnar epithelium is converted into the stratified squamous epithelium. Now you can see in the image along with the histodiagram. Now this was my normal epithelium. It has an intact basement membrane. Now it has undergone a squamous metaplastic change. In the histology, you can appreciate the columnar epithelial cells and you can see the change in the epithelial cells. It has been converted into stratified squamous epithelium due to persistent abnormal stress. Now this was all about squamous metaplasia. I hope you are clear with it. Now next is the columnar metaplasia. Now columnar, any specialized epithelium is converted into a columnar epithelium, then it is called as a columnar metaplasia. Examples: bronchus. Again in the bronchus, in the chronic smoker case, we have saw that pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium was converted into a stratified squamous epithelium. But in the case of bronchitis, the pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium is converted into the columnar epithelium. The most important thing to remember from this whole lecture video is about the Barrett's esophagus. It is the most asked question in the Viva. Most asked. So you have to learn what is Barrett's esophagus. Now in the Barrett's esophagus, the thing that we should learn is that the stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. The esophagus has a lining of stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. It is converted into a columnar epithelium in the presence of GERD. Now in the presence of GERD, it is converted into the columnar epithelium. That's simple. What's so different in it? The main hallmark feature you have to remember, that is there is a intestinal metaplasia, there is loss of goblet cells. Now in the esophagus we have lots and lots of goblet cell, and when it is converted into a less specialized columnar epithelium, there will be loss of goblet cells, and due to the loss of goblet cells there will be decreased production of the mucin. Okay, and the most important thing, Barrett's esophagus increases the risk of adenocarcinoma. As I said it earlier, that the metaplasia, if the abnormal stimulus is very long, there is a change that this metaplastic change will convert into the cancerous condition. Now the best example is of the Barrett's esophagus. It increases the risk of adenocarcinoma. Another question I am going to ask from you is, what is the special stain used for the Barrett's esophagus? If you know it, then comment it down. Now the last topic, the last thing, that is the mesenchymal metaplasia, also called as the dysphasia and dysplasia. Now the mesenchymal metaplasia, it is less common. It is the transformation of one adult type of the mesenchymal tissue to the another type. Now it is of two types, the osseous and the cartilaginous metaplasia. You just have to remember this name. This is not so important. So if you remember the example, like for the osseous metaplasia, the best example is Mockenberg's medial calcific sclerosis and leiomyoma. Okay, and for the cartilaginous metaplasia, you can just write the definition that for the fracture healing, the fracture can undergo cartilaginous metaplasia due to the undue mobility. This is not so important, that's why I'm saying it. Now the most important thing the examiner will ask is the dysplasia. The most important viva question. Dysplasia. What is dysplasia? It is also called as the atypical hyperplasia. Now why it is called as atypical hyperplasia? Because there is a disordered cellular development after accompanied with the metaplasia and hyperplasia. The cell will undergo disordered cellular development following your metaplasia or hyperplasia. Usually occur in the epithelial cells. You have to just remember the features. Just remember these 5 features. Just say in the examiner's face and he will be impressed by you. First, there is increase in the number of epithelial cells. Second, there will be new cellular and nuclear polymorphism. You can see, now this is my normal cells. Now it has been undergone dysplasia. You can see there is changes in the cell size and also in the nuclear size. That's why I said cellular and nuclear polymorphism. Nuclear hyperchromatism, loss of the basement membrane. This is one of the most important feature, that the normal cell will have an intact basement membrane, but there is a breach in the basement membrane for the dysplasia cells, and there is loss of basal polarity. Now all the cells, all the nucleus, the alignment of the nucleus in the same in the normal cells, whereas the disalignment of the nucleus in the dysplasic cells. So this was all about your cellular adaptations. I hope that it's had cleared you, and whatever the things that I have mentioned in the slide and however I made the slide, just write the same in your answer sheet and definitely you will get the full marks. There is nothing to cut anything from this written thing. So this was all about cellular adaptations. Thank you so much.